Hello and welcome. I'm Geeta Mohan and you're watching India Today Global. The top story at the top of this bulletin. News just coming in. Donald Trump had a conversation with his counterpart in China, Xi Jinping. That's news coming in on what really transpired in that very important phone call where discussions were going to take place on the progress and approval of a TikTok deal. President Donald Trump then posted on his social media platform, Truth Social, that he's just completed a very productive call with President Xi Jinping of China. That progress was made on very important issues, including trade, fentanyl, the need to bring the war between Russia and Ukraine to an end, and the approval of the TikTok deal. Also, very importantly, he's put out that the two leaders are going to meet at the APEC summit in South Korea and that he would go to China in the early part of next year and that President Xi Jinping would likewise come to the United States of America at an appropriate time. Three very important developments. One is the progress on TikTok deal and the fact that both leaders are going to meet and then they're going to have reciprocal visits in each other's countries. That's the news that's just coming in. My colleague Rohit Sharma will be joining me in a bit. He has been reporting on this and following the developments on this. Now, what's the problem with the TikTok deal? The US administration, Trump administration in particular, had cited national security reasons for not allowing TikTok in the country and then very clearly said that there has to be a smooth process where all the US assets of TikTok, the parent company being ByteDance, should be transferred to a US company, a US entity, so that there are no breaches in terms of national security when it comes to TikTok. For now, TikTok is available in the United States of America, but should the deal not go through, then there will be a problem in how this deal comes through or whether if there is going to be a permanent ban on that social media platform. Now, in a twist in tale, US along with its allies have blocked Pak-China-led sanction against BLA and the Majid Brigade, which are, according to Pakistan, terror organizations working out of Balochistan. In blocking the joint bid to sanction the BLA and its suicide wing, the Majid Brigade, under the UN 167 Al-Qaeda Sanctions Committee, the US and allies noted that there was insufficient evidence linking the groups to Al-Qaeda or ISIL, that's the Islamic State. But what it really means is that this is a huge blow to Pakistan, if not China.
In a major diplomatic twist, the United States, the United Kingdom and France blocked a Pakistan-China-backed bid at the United Nations to sanction the Balochistan Liberation Army and the Majid Brigade. The two groups had been proposed for designation under the UN's 1267 Al-Qaeda Sanctions Committee after Washington listed them as foreign terrorist organizations. Pakistan joined hands with China and pushed the proposal as part of its long-standing claim that the BLA is backed by India. Islamabad's decision followed after Washington designated the Resistance Front, blamed for the Pahalgam attack, as a Lashkar-e-Taiba-linked group. The three nations rejected the proposal, citing lack of evidence linking the BLA and the Majid Brigade to Al-Qaeda or Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, which is required for listing groups under Resolution 1267. The 1267 regime, created back in 1999, imposed sanctions such as travel bans, asset freezes and arms embargoes on groups associated with Al-Qaeda, the Taliban and ISIL. The development comes amid the backdrop of strained US-India relationship over Russian crude oil and is also seen as a mirror response to China's repeated moves to block or delay India-US efforts to sanction Pakistan-based outfits like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. The setback is a big blow to both Pakistan and China, as the BLA has repeatedly targeted Chinese development projects in Pakistan. The proposal is now stalled for 6 months before it can be reconsidered. So while the US, UK and France stood united, Russia has yet to announce its position. With Neha Kumari, Bureau Report, India Today.
Joining me from New York is the person who's been reporting on the developments when it comes to United Nations or United Nations Security Council, Yoshita Singh, PTI journalist, joining me. Yoshita, thank you so much for joining me here. Let's talk about the designation. The fact that BLA and the Majid Brigade were on that list that Pakistan, China wanted blocked. US stopped it for now. Is it a huge blow to both Pakistan and China?
Right. Geeta, I had reported that Pakistan and China had submitted a joint bid at the UN Security Council's 1267 Al-Qaeda Sanctions Committee to designate the Balochistan Liberation Army and the Majid Brigade. But there has been no official confirmation as to the technical hold. The missions here are very tight-lipped because, as you know, and as all of us were following the UN Security Council procedures know, that technical holds, proposals, all this is sort of very, you don't know who brings about a draft, who puts a technical hold. So the missions here are very tight-lipped. But again, you know, Pakistan, China being this all-weather ally sitting in the Security Council, we've seen how before any bids by India to designate Pakistan-based terrorist organizations and individuals were blocked by China, the permanent veto-wielding member. But now Pakistan is in the Security Council for a 2-year term, 2025-2026. It also is the chair of the Taliban Sanctions Committee as well as the vice chair of the Counterterrorism Committee. So I think while Pakistan is sitting in the council for 2 years, it will, you know, there'll be no surprise that if it works together with China again to bring about these proposals. But of course, a Security Council Sanctions Committee has to work with the consensus of all the 15 members. And we have US, we have France, we have UK,
right,
which are partners and allies of India in the Security Council. So, you know, we'll wait to see of how they respond to these proposals that Pakistan brings to the table with the help of China.
Right. Yoshita, what's the process here? 6 months from now is what we're looking at. That's the time period till US decides next. What after? What's the process?
Right. So there's a technical hold. It goes on for 6 months, and then again, you know, they can be the proposal will be taken up for consideration again. So if there's again a technical hold or if it's blocked, so these are some of the avenues that council members have. They can either put a technical hold, which then puts a hold for 6 months. If there is a block, then again, sort of the council members have that ability to do that, and then the proposal can come up again after a gap of 3 months, 6 months, again depending on the schedule of the Security Council. But yeah, the technical hold for now puts this matter in abeyance for 6 months at least.
Right. Yoshita, stay on with me because we have another story that we'd like your inputs on. Now, the United States has once again vetoed a United Nations Security Council resolution calling for a Gaza ceasefire. This is United States' 6th veto since the Israel-Hamas conflict began. While all other members backed the proposal, Washington stood by its ally, Israel. The move has fueled questions over whether President Trump is aligning with Prime Minister Netanyahu's Gaza plan.
Once again, the United States proved that it does not practice what it preaches. President Donald Trump has repeatedly claimed to seek a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas meant to ease Gaza's suffering and secure the release of Israeli hostages. Yet, for the 6th time, Washington has vetoed a United Nations Security Council resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire and the release of all hostages. 14 other council members backed the resolution, which also urged the lifting of restrictions on aid delivery and described Gaza's situation as catastrophic.
The United States rejects this unacceptable resolution.
But US Deputy Middle East Envoy Morgan Ortagus said the text failed to condemn Hamas or affirm Israel's right to defend itself.
U.S. opposition to this resolution will come as no surprise. It fails to condemn Hamas or recognize Israel's right to defend itself, and it wrongly legitimizes the false narratives benefiting Hamas, which have sadly found currency in this council. Council members ignored when the United States made clear that this resolution was unacceptable. The Council instead adopted for performative action designed to draw a veto that extends Hamas terrorists and those who fund them and support them and gives them a lifeline.
An immediate, unconditional, and permanent ceasefire in Gaza.
Following the vote, several UN members voiced deep disappointment.
It is deeply regrettable and painful that it has been blocked, preventing the Security Council from playing its rightful role in the face of these atrocities and to protect civilians in the face of genocide.
中方对今天的表决结果感到非常失望。
China is deeply disappointed by the result of today's vote. Time and again, the Security Council has attempted to take action only to be forcefully blocked by the United States.
一次次试图做出努力。
raise their hand.
However, Israel thanked Washington for its support.
We would like to thank the United States for showing leadership and moral conviction by vetoing this biased resolution.
The result of the voting is as follows.
The UN latest vote came days before world leaders gather for the UN General Assembly, where Gaza will be a major topic.
We need a ceasefire.
While US allies like the United Kingdom, France, Canada are likely to recognize the Palestinian statehood. Meanwhile, Israel has intensified its ground offensive on Gaza, forcing thousands of Palestinians to flee the region. Now the question that is raising eyebrows is that President Trump is siding with close ally Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in a bid to take full control over Gaza. Earlier, Trump even suggested transforming Gaza into the Middle East Riviera.
I don't want to be cute, I don't want to be a wise guy, but the Riviera of the Middle East, this could be something that could be so bad, this could be so magnificent.
US's sixth veto at the Security Council is widely seen as less of a diplomatic move and more as a show of loyalty to friend and ally Netanyahu's Gaza plan. With Neha Kumari, Bureau Report, India Today.
Well, Yoshita, coming back to you, an important year of reporting for you because this is the year where many countries would be recognizing Palestine as a state. But US has yet again vetoed this critical resolution calling for Gaza ceasefire. How is it going down at the UN building where you've been going every day to report on this year's General Assembly session?
Right, yes. We did see that the US vetoed this. In fact, it was the 10,000th UN Security Council resolution. So a lot of sort of significance was being attached to that aspect. But yes, the US has vetoed this resolution, meaning that, of course, it doesn't come to pass. It wasn't adopted. And speaking prior to the vote, the US representative had stated that Washington's position is very clear. It will oppose the resolution because it fails to condemn Hamas or recognize Israel's right to defend itself. So Washington has been very clear on how it will vote on these resolutions that pertain to Gaza or the Israel-Hamas conflict. And also another thing, Geeta, the US is denying visas, has revoked visas to the Palestinian authorities. So the UN General Assembly just voted to allow the Palestinian leaders to address the UN General Assembly high-level session, which begins here next week through a video conference. I mean, this is again unprecedented. We've had Palestinian leaders and the delegation come for the UN General Assembly high-level session in the past years, but this year, under the Trump administration, their visas are revoked. They are being denied the visas, and they will address all the high-level sessions and the meetings through video conference or a pre-recorded video. So again, we are seeing how this whole situation is being played in this second term of the Trump administration. And of course, it has repercussions here in the UN as well, which in New York, which hosts the UN headquarters.
So no statehood and no physical representation for Palestine. Yoshita Singh, thank you so much for joining us. Now, Trump's White House torpedoed India's $370 million project, that's the Chabahar port lifeline, by scrapping the waiver that kept it sanction-proof. Overnight, New Delhi's only secure route to Afghanistan and Central Asia became a legal minefield, handing China and Pakistan a free win at Gwadar. Banks, shippers and insurers now face U.S. penalties. India's decade-long necklace of diamonds strategy lies in a limbo. Friendship feels like coercion, first tariffs, then Balochistan outreach, and now Chabahar pile-up. Will India quietly comply, bleeding credibility, or push back to defend the strategic autonomy it has trumpeted for decades? That's all in this edition of India Today Global. But before we go, here's another story for you. The iPhone fever hit India hard this morning. Apple stores across the country opened doors at 8 a.m. But the frenzy among buyers started much earlier, with midnight snacks and sleeping bags. Buyers queued up hours before the sales even began. With that, goodbye and take care.
It's a day to rejoice for a lot of the Apple fans across the country because the new iPhone 17 series has been launched in India, and there is frenzy, absolute frenzy across all of the Apple stores. Wherever you go, be it Bombay, be it Delhi, and even Bangalore. Now, especially Bombay, because a scuffle broke out. Maybe people were trying to get their hands on the iPhones first, but again, that's a different story. Now, the reason the iPhones are popular is because of the branding that the company does and also the technological innovation. But this time around, one color has garnered a lot of popularity, and it's this one, the cosmic orange. People have been just going nuts behind this, and I really don't know why, but there could be other reasons. But this color is indeed very popular, and also the specifications that Apple is bringing this time around, there have been incremental updates. Now remember, compared to the previous iteration, the iPhone this time does bring updates and also a special edition phone called the iPhone Air, which again is the slimmest iPhone till now. But the frenzy is here. iPhones are now available in India. What do you think? Is it really worth the hype? Because as far as the colors go, this one is really creating a buzz. We really don't understand why this frenzy is around, especially with the new iPhone series, but this color is definitely making buzz across the internet and people are loving this one. Well, we'll get to know when the sale figures are out. With camera person Kunj, this is Cyrus for India Today.